Hi there, this is Naomi, and I'm excited to welcome you to the Top Shelf Women's Circle Chat, a place where we come together as women to share wisdom, to inspire and empower each other through our open-hearted, real and vulnerable stories about the issues that are impacting us today in our lives and in our relationships. Your connection to this amazing sisterhood of women begins right now.
Three. Hey there, gorgeous ladies. I am super excited today to be spending some time with the beautiful Annette Jones. Hi, Annette.
Hey, Nance, how you going?
Oh, look, awesome. I'm thrilled to have you join us as part of the Top Shelf Women's Circle. And, you know, when I started to think about the women in my life who I respect and admire for their courage, their strength, their big, beautiful, warm hearts and their openness to grow and to learn and to share, I absolutely thought of you, Annette, and I wanted to spend some time with you today because I think you have a lot of wisdom that you know, that certainly I've benefited from over the 14 years, Annette. I think that we've worked out that we've known each other. So, and you know, what I've seen is a lovely woman here who has really gone through some major changes in life and come out the other side in a really good place. So I'm excited to welcome you into the Top Shelf Women's Circle, Annette. Thanks for being here.
Oh, what a fantastic introduction, Naomi, and thanks very much. It's a real honour to be here and to be able to share and maybe some insights and some help and support for your ladies.
Yeah, thank you. Because as you know, the Top Shelf Women's Circle is all about women coming together to share wisdom and to support each other and to have a collective intention for all of us to thrive in our life and especially in our loving relationships, because we all know how powerful having the right relationship can be in your life and how challenging it can be when, you know, things aren't working well in your love life. So
it certainly makes a difference.
Absolutely. So you've got your own story, Annette, and I'd love you to share just a little about, I guess, your journey in the context of love and life and what you're doing now, and you know, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Thank you very much. Well, I met and married my first husband very young, so I was married at 19 years old.
Yeah.
Now I think is absolutely ridiculous, but
that's what we did back then, wasn't it? Yeah,
that's what we did. And I had two sons with him, and we travelled and worked in a couple of different countries around the world when my sons were very little. And that continued on. He continued to work away. He might be away for 4 weeks, home for 3 weeks. And through life and life journeys, I guess, we like, dislike, change. We branch out, we grow into different people and so forth. So he actually gave me an ultimatum that if I didn't fix myself, then we should, you know, either sort of, I needed to fix myself or we needed to go the other separate road.
Right, okay.
So at that time I thought, gosh, you know, I can only do what I can do for me, and I'll bring 100% of me to this relationship, but he needed to do the same. So we parted ways, which was a huge surprise to him. And then some years later, about 5 or so years later, a couple of years later, I married my second husband, and we were married for 5 years. And that by that stage we bought businesses and so forth, and I realised after that the common denominator was me. So a lovely mutual friend of ours asked me along to a weekend workshop, and I believe that's where we met.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
we journeyed through that alchemy course for around about 6 to 9 months, and then continued over to beautiful Bali. And you know, through that time certainly had a really good look at myself
Mm-hmm.
and worked on the things that I liked, didn't like, what I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to change,
Mm-hmm.
what I wanted to keep, and from there, and from that group that we were in, I think I'm still in contact with women from that group. It was a really powerful journey to go through.
Mm.
And through that, I think there's some really strong bonds. I know, you know, we might not talk on the phone every day,
No.
but I know from that I could pick up the phone right now and say,
Yeah.
hey, I need help.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So there's something about, I guess, sharing this journey with an open heart and doing that really deep soul reaching, isn't there? You know, where you really are quite raw and vulnerable and owning your shit, basically, isn't it? It's about...
It's a huge thing. It's a huge thing, and I think a natural thing to do as a woman, we tend to give.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go through this separation of, you know, with a loved one, and then I think the natural reaction is to go whoosh and block your heart and cut you know, really put up a barrier or brick, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So then the whole process then,
yeah,
exactly. So the whole process then, it becomes a journey of learning to open that heart again, which is, you know, it's very vulnerable to do that. You leave yourself wide open. That's the best place to be.
But it's the only way that you can get happiness, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. And I think a lot of, gosh, I did it myself, and that's why I can speak from this experience. Isn't it? A lot of people, women and men, tend to want to fill that void of love. So the next thing is they move on to someone else or another relationship way too quickly, and they take all of that baggage, for whatever better word, into this next one. I did that.
So did I. So did I. I did it too.
And then you expect that one to be different, but it can't, because you're the same.
Yeah. And it really, I think part of self-love is being willing to honour yourself, isn't it? And to really connect with your heart and to tune into what's your truth and the good, the bad and the ugly. And
that's right.
Being able to own the stuff that we need to do the work on and love ourselves enough to know that we deserve to focus on ourselves too, and that nobody else can give us what we don't give ourselves. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's getting to that place, the self-belief, the worthiness, and healing anything from the past as well. That's not to say that you have to stay there, but once those wounds are healed, then you can build and work on what you do
absolutely
in life, and working on that open-heartedness.
Absolutely. I totally agree with everything you've said. So, and one of the things that I'm excited about for you is that, you know, you have, you moved on. You've now got a wonderful relationship with a handsome Kevin. So, and, you know, when Annette and I were just chatting a minute ago, I said, so you've been with him about 5 years, haven't you? And Annette goes, no, 10 years.
10 years.
Time flies. So you've got a lovely life down at the Gold Coast and just near the beach, and you've created very much on purpose the way that you've chosen to live. So tell us about what the journey was like, meeting Kev, how you met him, and, you know, I guess what it's been like to get to the point now where you have made it to 10 years, which is, you know, a big achievement these days.
Well, longer than my second marriage.
But I love seeing you're happy and in a great space with Kev. So tell us about what the journey's been like after your 2 divorces and moving on to this long-term relationship.
Okay, so after my second marriage, and that was probably the first time I'd in my lifetime that I'd lived by myself. So, you know, I had, you know, husbands and children, and even my mum came with us for quite some years. So this was the opportunity to actually live by myself, which was a bit strange. And then I thought, well, I'll just get another, you know, I'll just have another man in my life and so forth. But that actually didn't happen for 4 years. And I'm really, at the time I thought, oh no, I'm ready. But I really wasn't ready.
I so get it. Yeah, yeah.
And funnily enough, I can distinctly remember saying to one of my girlfriends, could have been you, I'm really loving my single life. I love being a single woman, or, you know, without a partner and so on and so forth. And I think it was within a couple of weeks I met Kevin online and broke all the rules for online dating.
The rules are there are no rules.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, you know, it just grew from there. He was moving from central Queensland back down to the Gold Coast, which had been he'd lived and had businesses here for 20 odd years prior to that. And I was then spending sort of 4 days out of my week on the Gold Coast and only 3 days in Brisbane. So I decided, well, you know, I'll move to the Gold Coast and leased a beautiful place on the water and rented my home out in Brisbane. And then a year later we moved in together. And even with all the work I'd done, there was still more to do. And I don't think that ever stopped. So
we're never fixed. We think that we're going to do this course and, you know, come out the other side and our life will be fixed and we'll never have.
We're going to be rosy and but
that's not what happens, is it?
That's not the journey of life. I don't think the journey of life and the journey of love. So yeah, there was a lot you know, toing and froing and doing and froing as in communication styles and even, you know, into our 50s and we're still learning.
It's not easy, I think. You know, when we're in our 20s and we find somebody, you know, I think love is easier when we're younger. The older we get, the more stuff we accumulate, the more layers of emotional challenges we've gone through, the more we get set in our ways, the more complex our sort of families or financial situations, or, you know, all of that sort of stuff seems to create lots of layers, I think, the older we get. So it takes a lot of focus and work to continue to grow together, doesn't it? After
it certainly does.
Yeah.
And even for Kevin and I, a couple of years ago, we went through another challenging time, and we spent, you know, 3 months apart. So which has been a great strength.
To come back to choose each other consciously all the time.
Absolutely. And our communication is way better than it has ever been.
So I have a belief, Annette, and I think you may share this with me, is that our darkness leads us to our light, and that and that our soul has challenges, you know, gives us these challenges with the purpose to grow and to return to love and to break our heart open sometimes so that we can reach inside and do the work to be able to move to a place of, you know, higher happiness and peace and love and contentment and joy. But sometimes we don't get there without the challenges first. Yeah, would you agree with that?
I don't think we can get without those challenges. I think through the challenges, it actually gives you the direction of your life, and it can send you in a journey along a path that you weren't expecting, and it might not have been in your, you know, in your design.
In your plan.
As such.
We think that we can write this life plan, you know, and it's my beautiful daughter, who, you know, is 15, and she's given me her life plan, which I love her to death. You know, she's a creator and a manifestor and a planner, and she's already thought, you know, about how her life is and what age she's going to get married, and what children she's going to have, and what sort of job she's going to, and how much money she's going to earn, and where she's going to be traveling. And I love all of that, to have those goals. But sometimes life happens, and the path that we think we're going to go on isn't always the one that we end up going on. And so it's about being able to kind of ride the waves and navigate our way forward when it takes us on different turns. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think too, a part of that is a lot of people think that that's a negative thing. In fact, it can be a real adventure. It can really open up so many opportunities.
Yeah.
And I, in my life, I found if I don't explore and go with that, then the less coming back and around and back and around and back and around.
Oh,
he goes,
absolutely.
hello.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And somebody once told me that in life we come to a crossroads, and there's two paths. There's an easy path and a hard path. And, very often we'll take the easy path because that is easier, but the easy path will take us around and eventually bring us back to the same crossroads, and we'll go round and round in circles until such time as we take the hard path, and that the hard path is the only one that will take us forward. The easy choices keep us going around and around in circles. And so if we really want to move forward, we need to do that hard path, which is making decisions that we didn't think we were going to have to make. We thought that we'd married this person and it was going to be, we don't get married planning to get divorced. We actually get married to share our life with that person, and we go into that marriage with the belief and the choice that that's what we are committing to. But sometimes life doesn't work out that way. So the hard choice is moving on. So, Annette, one of the things that I loved that you did, quite a few years ago was you wrote your book called The Separated Woman's Guide to a Brighter Future. And I remember reading it at the time. And you've done quite a lot of work around understanding and supporting women to survive and thrive through that separation journey, and to have the strength to be able to do what it takes to get through the tough times, and then to get excited about what might lay ahead in the good times. So can you tell us a little about what you see the key points are in terms of, getting through the tough times and then getting excited about the future?
Yeah, sure. And I think coming back to your metaphor about going around circles and coming back to
the crossroads,
that crossroads is very much what goes on in women's minds when, should I stay? Should I go? Shall I leave? Shall we separate? Shall we divorce? Oh, I don't know. And that easy part, that's that whole. But then when it comes to the harder part and perhaps separating, then that is when you have to dig very, very deep, because there are the biggest thing I think for women is if they haven't been the one to budget, to pay the bills, to look after the household in a financial self, that can be a real challenge for a lot of women. The other challenge is perhaps they've only worked part-time, or they do work full-time and they do have children. So what happens to what happens to, do I move out? Do I stay? There's so many big decisions. But I think the very first one has to be what is good for you as a person, as a woman, and then as a mother, if you have children. So like, we can't be who we would like to be if we're not giving to ourselves first. As selfish as that might seem.
Self-love is the key to everything, isn't it? It's the centre.
It really is. It really is. And, I believe you can't be effective in life per se if you don't have that for yourself first. So that's the number one thing that women really need to nurture themselves first. Which is separation is such a roller coaster of a journey. It is very similar to losing someone.
There's a lot of grief, isn't there? Yeah.
There's a lot of grief.
And guilt and shame and judgment and blame and, you know, feeling like a failure and...
absolutely.
Yeah.
So even if it is an amicable separation, there are challenges along the way. There's still a rocky road. There's still the roller coaster. So what I have designed is a book rewritten and re-edited it, and from there have designed a course to help women actually go through that process. So I answer all those hard questions. What do I do? How do I do this? What do I do next? Although the next thing is very different for every woman, because every separation is different. It's like anything in life. It's from our own perspective anyway.
Yeah.
So
So I guess what you've said is that everything starts with self-love, and then and being clear about what you really want for yourself and your family for the future. And then having a bit of an action plan to work through some of the logistical stuff, if you like, so around, you know, living arrangements and budgeting and money and access of children, if that's the case, or parent, you know, co-parenting, all those sort of things. So there's a, I guess it starts with self-love at the centre, which is knowing who you are, what you really want for your future, and being clear about yourself. Then there's a natural piece, which is working out all that logistical stuff. But then there's the emotional piece, which is that healing piece, isn't there? And really being able to go into a place of forgiveness and self, which is part of that self-love. And then I guess the third part is really about looking forward, isn't it? And then having a bit of a strategy to be able to move forward.
And that is my book is very much like that. It's a practical guide.
So all the logistical, the things that you need to think about.
The second part is about self-love and re-looking at different aspects of yourself, for one of the words. And the next one is designing your life. Like that's the exciting bit. I don't believe you can design your life from a challenging perspective and a roller coaster of emotions.
So it's about stabilizing the day-to-day logistical stuff, so that you're not living in, you know, holy smokes, you know. So stabilizing the logistical stuff, getting all that practical things under control. Going back to the self-love and the healing and so on, and then you're in a position to be able to look forward and to create something beautiful on purpose.
Yes, that's right. And I have a whole decision-making formula, if you like. I mean, it sounds very but it is, and we tend to go through this no matter, you know, we get stuck on the but it's, I think Tony Robbins says, you know, it's in the moment. In one moment, you make the decision. It feels like it's taken forever, but it is really just one moment, and it's yes or no. But this formula actually will get you to that yes or no, and then you will know.
Nice. And I think that it's interesting. I mean, love is such, and relationships is such a highly emotive, charged part of our life.
Absolutely.
And, you know, we have all sorts of chemicals that go on in our brain and all sorts of emotions that are many, many layers deep, you know, our guilt, our shame, our worthiness, you know, our feeling deserving of love, our judgments, our patterns that get triggered off from something that happened when we were 5 years old, or, you know, that's got nothing to do with the partner that we're with, or, you know, there's so much in our subconscious that's really highly charged around love and relationships, and so many triggers to get that trigger other wounds, you know. And so I think the practical side is really useful to be able to detach from the story and the emotional charge around it all, and to kind of go back to, you know, because there's, you know, if we can step aside from the emotions, there is a practical approach as well, isn't there, that can be worked through. It doesn't be just fueled by this roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah, and I think it's an important part too, because quite often when a woman separates, she doesn't feel like she's in control, especially if that decision has been made for her and she doesn't agree with it. So it is a form of empowerment, sort of taking back some control of her life, where she can make decisions in an easier way, rather than reacting to what's happening in life.
And often what happens when we go through stressful periods in our life, like separation and having to create a new life and so on, it's stressful, right? So our brains produce what's known as brain fog, which is a result of, you know, too much adrenaline, and then we go into cortisol and all sorts of stuff as a reaction to the stress, because our bodies, without going into too deep, but we have a sympathetic and a parasympathetic nervous system, and one's to get us all fired up and ready for, you know, fighting the wildebeest, and the other one is to keep us calm and centered, right? So when we go through periods of stress, we're functioning on this sympathetic nervous system, which has got us on such high stress alert that we're producing so many chemicals in our brain that we actually go into brain fog to protect us. And it's very hard to think logically at that time. So we do tend to be in that roller coaster in periods of stress. So
that's for sure. I mean, we're dealing with a 3,000-year-old reptilian brain here.
Correct.
That was designed to protect us from the saber-toothed tigers. And, you know, so it's a natural thing. So it's a fight or flight response.
Correct.
Stand there and fight or take off. And then freeze is generally in. But I take it another step forward into flow.
Nice.
Go through that process. So you need to come out of that freeze, and that's what we're reacting to life around us. But once we can gain a little bit of control back of ourselves, our emotions, etc., we can go into flow.
I love that. I really like that. That's beautiful. Yeah, I really like that. Yeah, and that's stabilizing our chemicals in our brain as well. Through having a bit of calm and centeredness, and then we can make better decisions because we're not fueled by this roller coaster of emotions. And that's when we're
feeling more empowered rather than reacting to what is going on outside of ourselves.
Yeah, beautiful. So so just in summary, Annette, what advice would you give to a woman today who is maybe still in a relationship but considering separating, or somebody who has just recently separated? What advice would you give to her today?
First of all, two different types of advice here is if you're thinking about it, certainly talk to somebody about that. And I mean, talk to someone with some experience about that, because your friends will give you their opinion. And that's the second part of that, gather your sisterhood around.
Absolutely. A supportive sisterhood.
Yes. Women are fantastic nurturers to each other. And I think most women would have their own circle of friends or sisterhood that they could actually rely upon. Your closest friend will know what's going on anyway, because there's only one or two that you would share your life journey so far anyway. But certainly, if a woman's going through that, do I stay? Do I go? Shall I separate? Shall I not? To get off that treadmill, certainly speak to someone who can help you on a professional level, that's not involved, that doesn't know the situation, because that's, you're going to get a different perspective on your life, your decisions, etc., etc. And likewise for a woman that's recently separated, or even 12 months in and she's still not where she'd like to be. There's a lot of times in that where you feel like you're in you're in sinking sand. You're sinking into sand and you can't get out, and you need to move forward. You want to move forward, but you feel you can't move forward. So what is it stopping you from that? So talking to a professional, I think it's someone with some experience around that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So if you're listening to our chat today and some of what the lovely Annette has shared with you has resonated with you, and it's very kindly offered to connect with anybody from the Top Shelf Women's Circle, just find her or share her details, find her via Facebook, Annette Jones. There's not many Jones in the Facebook system, I'm sure. There's only one of you,
many Annette Joneses there are.
Exactly, there's only one of you, but we can certainly connect you with the lovely Annette if you would. And she's very kindly offered, if you're in that situation, you just need to pick up the phone and have a chat with somebody. She's very kindly offered to reach out and have a chat to her, and she's willing to connect. So thank you for your very kind offer there, Annette, too. So
you're welcome.
Part of the wonderful sisterhood, and we're excited about some of the things that you're bringing out in the future, in the not too distant future, around supporting women to survive and thrive through that separation journey. So stay tuned. There's some exciting things on the way from Annette coming down, and we'll share some of that when it's released, Annette. So yeah. Yeah. So. My darling, that's it for today. What I've really taken out of our chat today is, a couple of key points. One is, absolutely the power of sisterhood and the power of, opening our hearts and being vulnerable, sharing, admitting that, we've all got stuff. Even us women that we thought we were perfect when we went into that those years ago, didn't we? I think we both thought we were perfect, didn't we? So.
Oh, well, we certainly were by the end of it, if we weren't at the beginning.
I don't think we ever become perfect, but owning that it's a journey, owning that we do need to have that self-love. We do need to honour ourselves. It's part of creating a brighter future. So if we've got painful stuff, so it's a sign from the universe telling us that there's some work to be done, yeah? And as we heal that layer, we can move on to higher layers, which are, more joyful, more flow.
Love in your life. And I think that the whole thing is they don't have to go through it alone.
Yeah, absolutely. There's and the power of the sisterhood to support each other is something that's very, very special. And you're living proof that you can rebuild your life again and come out the other side with a lovely long-term successful relationship that with a great life that you've created. So I think your story gives us all inspiration and hope for ourselves to be able to go and create that happy ever after down the track as well. So yeah.
Oh, thank you, Naomi. And that's because I have great friends like you surrounding me as well.
Yeah, well, but it is part of the journey, isn't it? It's being able to have. I think what I value about our friendship in the circle that we've come through is the willingness to be raw and the willingness to be open-hearted and the willingness to let the guard down and be vulnerable. And to hold the space for each other when we're going through stuff without judgment, without sort of saying, oh, you're a bit messed up, holding this, just allowing everybody to be where they need to be, but supporting them to get through
where they want to go. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, so my darling, thank you for joining us.
It's very welcome.
pleasure. And once again, if anybody would like to connect with Annette, just reach out and I'll certainly put you in touch with Annette straight away. So, all right. Thank you, my darling. Bye-bye for now.
Thanks, Naomi.
I trust that you've enjoyed today's circle chat. If you know somebody who you believe would also enjoy being part of our circle, I would love it if you could let them know that it's really easy to join. All they need to do is visit thetopshelfwoman.com and subscribe to make sure that they're first to know when our future updates are released. In the meantime, have an awesome day, my darling, because you deserve it. Bye-bye for now.